one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much for joining us. And looking at the minutes, I just want to ask, we do have 2 sets of minutes, and we also, I just want to ask, do we want to consider the minutes at this special meeting, or would we prefer to reserve that to the next meeting, which is August 17th? That's just a question. Clint, you have any?
Now do what now?
I'm asking
Say
if
that
we
again.
want, do we want to approve the minutes tonight or wait until the 17th? There's nothing that says we have to do them tonight.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so I'm just,
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
Brandy, you have any thoughts?
I'm fine either way.
Angie?
Either way.
I'll make a motion that we table the minutes to the next meeting, that being August 17th.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Hey, Chris, are you in favor of tabling the minutes to the next meeting?
I definitely am, yes, I am in favor of that.
Okay, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll do the minutes at the next meeting.
Chris doesn't really have the minutes in front of him, so he can
Right.
say that.
All the more reason to table them.
Now, the other one, the approval of the July 20th minutes, we don't have to approve them. They've already been approved with those corrections, right?
Yeah.
With the one
Okay.
amendment, yeah.
Yeah, so,
Right.
all right, so I'll just jump into the meat. And the purpose of tonight's meeting is to make sure that our plan commission is properly constituted. And by statute and ordinance, it's a 7-person commission, and it consists of 2 different groups. There are 4 citizen group members, and there are 3 elected, appointed town officials or employees. So you have 2 categories, citizen members and elected members. And when I say elected members, that can be elected, appointed, or a town employee. Having said that, let's talk for a moment about the elected positions. Our minutes show that on January 15th of 2020, the council made a motion and appointed at that time to the Plan Commission, and the 3 elected positions were Angie Farno, Bill Niemeyer, and Jan Jarson. The minutes also show that on October 7th of 2020, Jan Jarson resigned from the town council. At that time, a successor was appointed to take Jan Jarson's elected slot, and that was Chris Lytle. Chris resigned, and in his place, I appointed Mike Jackson to fill that position. The problem with that appointment was twofold. Number one, only the town council can fill the elected 3 positions, not the president of the town council. And there's a question about whether the council appointed Chris to take Jan's position or whether Brandy did. Of course, it really doesn't matter that much, because when Chris resigned, that position has technically remained open because I didn't have the authority to put Mike Jackson there. So in discussions with Doug and Ted, there's also one other change with the 3 elected positions. I resigned, Brandy was appointed, and the council voted on that. So Brandy didn't take one of the 3 elected positions because I appointed her. I may have made the motion, but there was a vote from the council. So Brandy was appointed by the council, and she properly fills one of those 3 positions. Tonight, we need to fill that elected position so that it's by vote of the town council and it's properly occupied. So I would like to make a motion to fill the 3rd elected, appointed, or employee position on the Plan Commission by putting Yvonne Jonas in that position. Is there a second?
No, but,
This is not open to the floor yet.
Yeah, it is.
No, it is
You're
not.
trying to do everything right, Phil, and you're holding a meeting without proper notice. This is a special meeting.
Okay, Dale,
Having to
sit down or I'll have you
having to
removed
proper
from the
notice.
room.
You've only
Sit
given
down.
5-day notice.
Is there a second to the motion? Is there a second to the motion? Dale, I will have you removed.
Meeting ordinance.
Hey, Doug.
Hey,
So if you're gonna do stuff right.
sit down,
it needs
please.
to be done right.
If
You're
you
not
want to
doing it
talk,
right.
you can talk later. We're not the
Got my
public
letter. I know You
comment.
got my letter.
Is there a second to the motion? Again,
I'll second
if you're out of the order, I will have you removed from the room.
Chris
Okay, so
seconded.
it has been moved and seconded. All those, oh no, is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of appointing Yvonne Jonas to fill the currently vacated elected position on the Plan Commission, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Clint?
No.
Okay.
No.
Angie?
No.
Okay, motion carries 3-2, and Yvonne Jonas is now in the third slot on the elected positions. So now let's go to the other side of the ledger, the 4 citizen positions that are appointed by the council president. For the record, I just want to make it clear, at this point in time, I am appointing Ron Wally, Nancy Owens, Raven Smathers, and Eric Kropp to fill the 4 positions in the citizen group category. Now, in discussions with Doug, it also came to my attention that we have the statutory ability and authority to appoint alternates on both sides. And that way, if a member is disqualified, resigns, what have you, then is Doug, in what category, what situations can an alternate fill the position and act?
Sorry, but if I may, I actually printed off a cheat sheet for you guys to follow along
Thank you.
of the statutes.
Before we go any farther, I'd like to make another motion.
Okay, sure.
I'd like to make a motion, we remove Yvonne Jonas from the planning commission and replace her with Clinton Bledsoe.
I second that motion.
Okay, is there any discussion on the motion?
Though, if I may, it's point of order.
Mhm.
The only way Yvonne's spot can be filled is if Yvonne were to resign or to be found to not fulfill the duties of the position. So when you're in an elected or appointed position, Yvonne is an elected official of the town. She serves either coterminous with her term of office, so whenever her office is up, or the council has the ability to change its appointments to the plan commission at the organizational meeting at the first of the year. So your January 1 meeting, you guys can change the composition of your side. On the citizen side, we discussed this at the last meeting when we thought we had to give notice to Mike Jackson. But as you discussed, Mike was never qualified for the position because he didn't meet the requirements of being an elected official appointed to an appointed position in the town or a town employee. So he was never qualified to be in the role he was appointed to. But on the citizen side, you have to give the 30-day notice that they haven't met the requirements. So you cannot remove Yvonne unless it's for cause or she resigns.
Okay. Well, I think that's a good point of order, so I don't even need to call a vote on the motion because we can't remove her.
Correct.
Okay. Does that answer the question, Clint?
Well, what answers the question for me is that at all these meetings, you're pitching underhanded, Bill, and I don't think anybody appreciates it, and it's obvious. And I mean, at the RDC meeting, you pitched underhanded to the lawyers and did all the talking on the RDC, and then when it came up to a vote before any public was allowed to comment on it. And on this meeting, I just think we're trying to do stuff that doesn't sound right to me. I mean, it has a smell to it.
Okay. I think there's one other order of business. The ordinance regarding our plan commission currently says that the plan commission meets on the third Tuesday of the month. And I think that, that's been brought to our attention a couple different times and it hasn't been fixed. I would like to make a motion that we delete that language and in its place, we insert as needed with proper notice. So the plan commission will meet as needed with proper notice if everybody's in favor of that change.
I don't have a copy of that. The ordinance that says when the planning commission meets.
Yeah, I don't have it with me yet.
I can't vote on something I don't have in front of me that we're gonna add to. I need to see the ordinance.
Do you have the ordinance number?
22, actually, yeah, give me a second. 'Cause
I mentioned
it's-
it at the last council meeting and I don't
Yeah.
have my notes from that either. Doug,
It's
do you
an
have any of that?
ordinance 24, I believe it's 2401, or else it's 2402.
And that's the whole number?
That's it.
22, what is it, 24?
I have ordinance 24.01,
24.
and I apologize. Let me look to see.
It's a strange.
Oh,
I Googled it.
wait a minute, I do. You know what? Can we make copies?
Yep, absolutely.
And so just, go ahead, please. Make us,
Wait, is that the copy that he sent us on the email?
yes?
It's cut off.
Okay, but
The whole right margin is cut off. The whole right margin is cut off. I need
Okay,
to see the
that's
ordinance.
good. We're not in the right margin. If you would, make
There is
copies
more
of
to the
that.
right margin. I wanted the whole copy of the ordinance, if that's something we're voting on, and the right side of it is gone.
Well,
So
once-
pull it up and find the ordinance, so the whole ordinance is there. I'm not voting on a half a page ordinance.
24.01. 24.01, if she can print that. I've got it pulled
Well,
up on
hey-
ALP.
You want to send it to my email? Can you send
Sure.
it to the printer?
I don't know if I can print from this here. Let's see.
Well, I mean, I don't know if this will help, but
Because that's from the book.
I'll email it to you.
here's what it says. And
No
fortunately,
earprints.
it's on the left side. It says regular meetings. And this is under 2401 subsection D. Regular meetings shall be held on the third Tuesday of the month as necessary. Meetings will be called at the discretion of the chairperson at 7 p.m. at the New Palestine Town Hall, New Palestine. We don't meet at 7 when the Plan Commission meets because it's typically before a commission meeting. And so alls I'm requesting, where it says regular meetings shall be held, right there, we would delete on the third Tuesday of the month and insert as needed with proper notice. That's,
I have to go, I gotta run. We'll be back.
okay, thanks, Chris.
That's an issue.
Why is it an issue? If somebody walked out of the meeting, you just note that they were gone. So you still have a quorum, you still have enough people to vote on
It's the
any town council
disruptiveness of the
meeting.
meeting. We'll pull up the statute. Maybe you can have a conversation with the rest of the council like you have with Doug, and we can discuss it and go back and forth and figure out
I'd be happy to have a
exactly how that
conversation with
happens.
anybody if I get advance notice on what I'm supposed to talk about, and I can research it and be prepared to talk about it. I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, and really, alls I'm trying to do
We
is
didn't really know what
change
we were
our
doing at this meeting. I didn't know
ordinance.
we were approving minutes and all this. It was a special meeting, and I don't understand what all this other stuff is about. I wasn't prepared for this meeting either. But while Clint was sitting there talking and we're sitting here waiting, I'd like to bring a note to June 15th, 2020 Town Hall meeting minutes, where it says, and it was a 5-0 vote, Town Council to be notified of any meetings in regards to boards, commissions, training, business matters that pertain to town business, public events, etc. In any case, council members have an interest in attending. And the RDC meeting was not notified across the board to all the council members of when it was, the time it started. Brandy, Chris, and I, well, Brandy showed up, I showed up, Clint showed up, and none of us were aware that there was a 5 o'clock RDC meeting, and I would like to know how the heck that happened. When it was a 5-0 council vote that everybody on the council was to be notified of meetings.
The RDC meeting last week, I had no idea what was happening.
Me either, I was on my way home and saw the cars in the parking lot, so I stopped.
I got notification of planning commission because I'm on it, but I didn't know there was an RDC meeting going on. I mean,
Council
it
wasn't
is,
notified of the RDC meeting.
it is what it is,
And it
but
wasn't posted on Facebook, social media like town hall meetings are either.
Well, I'm under the assumption that Brenda's not here, but you know, whether she was supposed to notify everybody of all the meetings, so.
Well, it
And
was discussed in town
notices
minutes,
placed
and it,
on the doors and published in the newspaper. I mean, all those things happened, so.
no, that's not the point. The point was the council said 5-0, that when there was an RDC meeting, that the council would be notified, not on public notices like the rest of the public's being notified. It's an email
Yeah.
with
And
attachments.
ask Brenda because she gives the notices. I don't know. I can't speak for Brenda.
Jim, perhaps, just advise Brenda again whenever there is any sort of,
There is, yeah, but we've talked about.
Commission meeting.
You know, which message we want to disseminate, the information, not so much the meeting, but all the
Right.
information that goes along with it. Because
Right.
it's kind of a big dump that some people that don't belong to the RDC don't
Okay.
want the
Well,
information.
on the
Okay.
15th,
So-
the minutes on the 15th, it says Councilmember Brandy Baston was absent, Yvonne Jonas was absent, and Jenny Griner was absent. But Town Manager Jim Robinson was here, Robert Ely was here, Steve Pohl was here, we were all here, and everybody, those people knew that everybody's supposed to be notified of an RDC meeting and to notify council.
Yeah, I guess we'll just have to ask Brenda what happened there.
Well, see if we can pull up emails and find out who was sent to.
Yeah.
and then just one more, and I just want a clarification, because I want to acknowledge, Dale's concern, and I want you to think we don't pay attention to your emails or your feedback or whatever, because we do, I do. And just to clarify, help for him, the responsibility of posting public meetings and the requirement to do in 3 legal public places, that has typically fallen under the responsibility of the clerk's office to make sure that that is done, correct?
And that's being done.
And that's being done.
I mean, it hangs on the door
Mhm.
as soon as we can,
Mhm.
at
Yeah.
the library
Right.
and at the post office.
And the Daily Reporter was notified within the required timeline as well. And
For which meeting?
newspaper.
For this
these-
meeting?
These, yes.
Yes.
Okay, within the
And the
established
executive
guidelines.
session, yes.
Okay, okay,
Okay, so back to where I'm at.
right.
In section D, it says regular meetings. Regular meetings shall be held on the 3rd Tuesday of the month as necessary. I read that to mean you could take the position that right now the Plan Commission can only meet on the 3rd Tuesday of the month. And then it says meetings will be called at the discretion of the chairperson at 7 p.m. I think that's not an accurate statement. So again, I'm requesting that our ordinance be amended to reflect reality. That's all I'm trying to do. And that says that regular meetings shall be held as needed with proper notice. And meetings can be called at the discretion of the chairperson, and get rid of the at 7 p.m. And then it'll just say delete at 7 p.m. And so it says, goes from meetings will be called at the discretion of the chairperson at the New Palestine Town Hall, New Palestine. I mean, that's all I'm asking.
Mr. President, I would just draw your attention to subsection E, the special meetings,
Uh-huh.
which already allows the president of the planning commission to call meetings at their discretion. So there's nothing wrong with what you're suggesting. I just want to make sure that everybody knows that the meetings that have been called in the past were under the authority of subsection E, and they were not improper.
Okay, yeah, and I didn't mean to imply that they were improper. I'm just, going forward, if somebody wants to look at our ordinance and see what the provisions are, it would be nice if somebody read the ordinance and got accurate information.
Let me just revisit a time in the past of when I wasn't a part of this. And I don't know if anybody can speak to this, Clint, you're our veteran council member with the longest years of service. Was there a time when you were on council that there were regular plan commission?
No.
Okay, so this predates probably,
All of us.
okay, so
There was never regular.
there was never
meetings.
regular?
No.
Is there a need for regular standard plan commission meetings once a month, Doug, while we're here? I mean,
That'd really be more of a Jim question on what's in the pipeline. You guys have a lot, seem to have a lot more going on now.
Right.
And so there may be a need.
Well, and you know,
That's up to.
maybe that's a perfect point. In section D, get rid of the word regular. And so it just says meetings. And so there would be two places you would delete the word regular, and it would just say, meetings shall be held as
As
needed
needed.
with proper notice. Meetings will be called at the discretion of the chairperson at the New Palestine Town Hall, New Palestine.
the only reason I mention this is, as reflected in previous meetings, at times during commissions, there has not been a quorum, and the meeting's not able to be had, or something to that extent. And with everything, and then, for example, there are people regularly, excuse me, on the commissions, right? And for timing purposes or being able to schedule to be more regular with these, is there any merit in addressing this to say that every third Wednesday of the month, there will be a planning commission meeting at 6 or 6:30 unless otherwise?
But does that mean everybody has to show up every third Wednesday?
Well, unless we cancel it. I know there's risks and benefits to both, but my concern is, if you don't know sometimes, just like with all of us full-time at work, if you pop something on us 5 days ahead of time and say, I need you to be here next Wednesday at 7 p.m., if I have a conflict with work, I have a trip out of state, I have something, to hold folks accountable for the pop-ups all the time. I'm just wondering if we should have something in place, and therefore, in a given month in the future, if there is something that comes before the Plan Commission, we'll need to say, that meeting's not until the third Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m., so this issue can be addressed then, instead of popping up multiple meetings unless there's a true emergency.
And does that mean then, when there isn't a meeting, because there isn't anything requested or scheduled, now we somehow have to get notice out that this meeting, the regular meeting's off?
Right.
And so I'm trying to avoid that you always have a set meeting and we just call them when needed. Or the president of the plan commission calls them as needed. That's all I'm suggesting.
I'd like to take a minute here. So, Chris, can you hear us? Chris, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Are you on a fire run?
What was that?
Are you on a fire run?
Yeah, we just had a run. It was an alarm. It was nothing. So I was trying to get back as soon as possible, so I put it on the engine.
So you're on duty at the firehouse on a fire run and you're on the phone for the council meeting. I'm just, clarification just for public record. Because it's video and people can't
I
hear.
just couldn't get there today, just the city of Indianapolis needs me.
Yep. Just wanted that on public record. Thanks.
Okay, so am I all wet here? Does anybody have any interest in fixing section D to reflect reality?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, and again, just so that we're very clear, and Yvonne, I will give you the copy that I've made edits to. I want to go very detailed. Hey, Chris, there's a motion and a second to, in section 2401 of our ordinance for the Plan Commission, to delete the word regular in two places, the only two places that the word regular appears in section D. And so then it will read meetings, period, because that's the heading of the section. And then in the section, it'll say, meetings shall be held
Chris is-
as needed with proper notice, period. Meetings will be called at the discretion of the chairperson at the new and I think we should put, and shall be held
I don't know that's wrong, I'm looking up.
at the New Palestine Town Council, New Palestine, period. That's what we're voting on.
Okay, now you're gonna have to forgive me because I missed all the discussion. Can I hear? I mean, what were the pros and cons? I mean, what was the argument? I missed everything.
Seriously?
Sure, well, I think that the reason that I made the motion to make this change to this statute is because right now, the ordinance says that the Plan Commission meets the third Tuesday of each month, and we don't do that. That's not reality. And if somebody reads the ordinance and shows up the third Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m., the door's gonna be locked and nobody's here. I'm just trying to avoid confusion and make it clear that the Plan Commission meets as needed with proper notice and as called by the discretion of the chairperson, and the meetings will be held at Town Hall. I haven't heard anybody say any negatives, but now we're in discussion.
I was gonna say that I mean, yeah, if they had it, we don't have those that many times, so if people show up, there would be nobody there. That doesn't make any sense. We've never done it like that, so unless I hear anything against that,
We're gonna be in trouble.
I mean, does anybody have anything that they don't like this for? Because if not, I'm definitely voting for it. But I'd like to hear if anybody has any negatives.
Okay, well, and we're open for discussion. Is there any discussion, any further discussion regarding the motion? All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries 5-0, and we will change section D of ordinance 2401 to just and Yvonne, I want to give you my copy.
I understand.
Has all the edits, and that way it just accurately shows what we're doing.
Can I say one thing? That what you're looking at is actually an excerpt from the legal book. It is not directly a ordinance.
From the town of New Palestine ordinance.
Right, but it's the language is the same.
This is the description of such.
Okay. And then we'll just change it accordingly.
And then one more thing, that book gets republished or the information redone about once a year.
Perfect, so it'll take a while to catch up, that's fine. Next item on the agenda is department reports. I'll make a motion that we table
Hold up,
that.
that's,
Wait,
What?
wait. I just have a point of clarification on something, I'm sorry,
Sure,
on the
no,
other
you're
issue. Doug, you had brought up something that's never been brought up before on this conflict of interest, disqualification, and I remember reading through the state statute versus our local statute on planning commission and seemingly reading something, and the word I kept coming up with was proxy. And so this has come, you guys mentioned this tonight, so like, where has this come from? Like alternate members, proxy, like?
Sure, it's on page 2 of the document I handed out. And
Okay.
just so we're clear, this is the planning commission, planning law. Planning law is divided up into 3 different areas. There's advisory, area, and metro. You guys are advisory. I deleted the area and metro out, so I don't
Okay.
want you to think this is the full complete law. I just gave you the excerpts that apply to New Pal. So on page 2 of the document I handed you, section 220, and A, halfway through A, it says the appointing authority may also appoint an alternate member who meets the same requirements as the disqualified member, including residency to participate with the commission in a hearing or decision if the regular member appointed by the appointing authority has a disqualification under section 223C of this chapter. An alternate member has all powers and duties of a regular member while participating in a hearing or decision. One thing to note there is that the alternate member has that authority only if the regular member is disqualified under 223. The alternate member does not just step in because somebody's absent, they have to be disqualified under 223. 223 is right below there, I copied that for you guys, and the relevant subsection there is C. So if a planning commission member is disqualified and they not participate in the hearing of the commission meeting, if the member is biased or prejudiced or otherwise unable to be impartial, and the member, or the member has a direct or indirect financial interest in the outcome of the zoning decision. Zoning decision is a defined term. It doesn't just mean zoning decision as you would think. It would apply to, as we addressed in last week's meeting, last week, 5 days are running together, approving a PUD or a plan. So, and I think, Brandy, you've actually recused yourself. I think we fall under C2 because you work for the hospital and you have an indirect relationship there. And so in that case, if you were to make that recusal, then an alternate, and because you're on the council, that would be an alternate appointed by the council, could step in for in your position or any member that's disqualified under that subsection and vote just for that matter.
Okay.
So that's a valid point. Is there any interest?
I'm sorry, that's also, that same is set up for the citizens as well. So if a citizen
Okay.
was disqualified under C, either 1 or 2, the executive would be able to appoint an alternate that would then sit in for that citizen just for that matter. That appointed member doesn't lose their position on the planning commission, they just don't sit on that matter.
Okay.
So with that explanation, is there any interest in appointing an alternate for the elected category and an alternate for the citizen category?
Bill, you do the citizen all on your own, so you don't need them. It needs to be, there
Okay.
needs to be a note.
Well,
You do that all on your own. The elected, I just want to clarify, I use Brandy as an example. But the
Can I
alternate-
interrupt just for 2 seconds? Because I think it's beneficial to have an alternate. So I will appoint Mike Jackson as an alternate on the citizen group.
Okay.
So that way, there is somebody, if we get into that situation, we already know who to call. So, and I'm so sorry, Doug, I cut you off,
No problem.
but I'd like to now ask, is there any interest in appointing an alternate on the elected side? That requires a council vote.
I let Clint Bledsoe
Yeah, Clint expressed interest, so you make a motion?
make a motion that we do Clint Bledsoe.
Okay,
for
I
that.
second that.
Is there any discussion? Chris, do you hear what we're voting on?
Very little. I don't know what had happened, but the volume is much worse now when I got back on. I can't hear hardly anything.
All right, well, I'll try to summarize and be a little loud. Right now, we are voting on whether to appoint Clint Bledsoe as an alternate to the elected position on the Plan Commission.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, we have a quorum here where we can vote on that. We don't have to keep replaying it for Chris. I mean, for his vote. I mean, there's enough here for that. So we don't have to keep wasting our time to have to re-explain things where Chris can hear it. So we can move this along.
I didn't hear any of that.
Good.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. All those in favor of appointing Clint Bledsoe as the alternate on the elected, appointed, or employee position to the Plan Commission, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries, and Clint is our alternate. Okay, so now, I'm gonna make a motion that we table department reports and claims to the next meeting,
We
which will
don't
be
have
August.
any claims in front of us to approve.
That's right, but it's on the agenda. I just wanna make it clear that I'm following the agenda. So, that's my motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Clint, we're voting to see who's in favor of tabling.
It's Chris,
the
not
depar-
Clint.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, Clint, Chris, anybody, everybody. We're voting to table department reports and claims. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. All right, we'll move into public comment. If there's anybody in the public that has any comments, now, Dale, this would be the time you can say whatever you'd like. But I will tell you, just incredibly disrespectful for you to stand up and keep talking. I'm going to give you the floor, and I promise I'm not going to talk over you. You know, I don't know what in the world you're thinking, but I would expect the same respect we're going to give you.
I think the people deserve that respect as well.
You didn't give it to me.
You just said you weren't gonna interrupt them.
First off, the electronic meetings require that you announce when somebody on it is going to be on electronic meeting, and the public has to be able to log into the meeting. So you're in violation of your electronic ordinance. Also, 6-day notice was not given. Yvonne told me today that it was posted on Friday, which was only 5 days notice. So you didn't satisfy that requirement for the special meeting. So I'm not sure why. You all keep talking about stuff being in the paper and those kinds of things. I haven't seen it in the paper. I'll go back and look again, but I've looked a couple times now. I haven't seen it. But I'm not sure how it could have been, because you decided this obviously after Wednesday, so I'm not sure how you could have gotten it into the paper with a 6-day notice. The special meetings should be called if the public interest requires, and it's obvious that this meeting did not require it. The public interest did not require this meeting. This meeting has more personal interest based on the last council meeting, the things that went on in that meeting. Also in the ordinance that you just changed, there are a couple things in there. One is you still have not addressed the party affiliation of the 4 citizen members. So you've ignored that part of the ordinance.
We won't in just a minute.
Once again. So that part's been ignored. Also in that ordinance 24, under the advisory planning laws section, there's an IC code which is wrong. It directs you to the fireman's pension fund. So that part should be corrected while you're making all these corrections. I'd suggest maybe someone read the entire ordinance and not just the parts you want to change for convenience or whatever reason. And that's all I got to say. Once again, I'm going to object to the whole meeting and the fact that the proper notification was not given.
Dale, can you clarify for me the link that was wrong again? Where is that at?
If you read in that ordinance 24, there's a section about advisory planning law,
Okay,
and you'll see an IC code.
okay,
I don't remember it exactly. I think might say 36
Dash 8-4 -7-4.
okay.
Yeah, and that directs you to a fireman's
Okay.
pension.
So that needs to be fixed. Thank you for clarifying that.
Was
And,
this agenda
and
posted?
I got a question about that. Do Saturday and Sunday count as days after a notice?
Yeah.
Or does it have to be business days?
Yeah.
They do count.
The statutory requirement for notice
Did
is
you have
48
this before
hours.
the
Your
meeting?
ordinance
No,
says 6
I haven't
days
seen
for
it
a
yet.
special ordinance unless it's an emergency. That's in
That's, I don't know where
the
this came from. I
discretion
don't have one.
of the
This is
council.
what Susie handed us.
So you've met the statutory
I
requirement.
didn't get it.
The statutory requirement does not include
Was it
Saturday
emailed
and
to us?
Sunday. So posting on Friday would meet the statutory requirement of 48 hours.
Right.
And then if there's what is deemed in the council's determination to be an emergency, it doesn't have to give the 6-day notice according to the ordinance. Does that answer your question, Clint?
Yeah.
And for the record, check Saturday's paper. That's when the notice is in there. It is in there. Anyone else from the public? Come on up, give us your name, share with us whatever you'd like to share.
This is as much as anything a question, a procedural question or something. I Chris hasn't been here. And is there no limit to how many meetings a person can be?
They only have to attend one meeting.
So, but.
Anything
is
else?
there any limit to how much of this? Because the guy, obviously, he's doing another job currently on the exact moment. So how's he attending a meeting? I mean, this is, I think it's ridiculous. I just wonder what the rules are.
Anything else?
No,
Thank you. Anyone else in the public like to make some comments?
Yes, I would.
Wait, time out. Are we not gonna answer his question, or at least find
I'm
out
not
how to answer
answering
the
it.
question?
I'm not
State law,
answering this
state
question.
statute, I mean, I'm not the attorney, so you can tell me if I'm wrong, but state statute in the state of Indiana requires an elected official to report to duty 1 day a year.
okay, my issue is.
And I'm making a judgment call, that's the state law,
Okay, well,
yeah.
I mean, and I understand that, but
Mhm.
it's like the issue that they're not here, but they're here, you know, they're voting. It's like, I understand they're not here,
Mhm.
they're not voting, but it's just, I don't know, it doesn't seem like the person's doing their duty.
Not like
Chris?
he's doing his job and then doing another job while he's doing
Well,
that
I mean,
job. Kind of.
sure, I'll respond to that.
You don't have to,
The
Chris.
special meeting wasn't, I can't just, take off whenever I want and head over there. I try and make as many accommodations I have when we do have, regular meetings. This was a special session. I mean, not everybody has the time to do it, and I try and make as much as I can when I'm there. And, I've already told people, if they feel like I'm not doing enough, I'll gladly step down. I'm trying to do what's best, and they indicated to me they want me to be here. If anybody does not, please let me know, and I'll listen to you. If you can make a good argument, I'd let somebody else be there. But I feel like I'm trying to do the best I can for the town, and that's when it's special meetings, they're going to be tough for me. A lot of times, I think I have a lot of responsibilities. I work a couple full-time jobs, in my opinion, so I do the best I can. If that's not good enough, let me know, and we'll see if we can't get rid of it.
Hey, Chris? Chris, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Did you get a copy of the agenda for tonight's meeting?
Yes.
For you have an August 10th agenda meeting list?
I can't hear you. What?
So you have an agenda for tonight's meeting. Have you seen it?
I have a copy of it. I don't have it with me right now.
I don't.
I didn't get a copy. I didn't get emailed a copy of the agenda for tonight.
I don't have a
I
copy
didn't
of
see
the
it,
agenda.
an agenda for tonight's meeting until Susie handed it to me in the conference room after our executive meeting.
Well,
So when people keep saying that that's on the agenda, it's next on the agenda, I have no clue because I wasn't given an agenda. Wasn't emailed an agenda. I thought this was a special meeting to discuss something and that was it. And we're talking department reports, we're talking meeting approval minutes and getting it tabled. I'm at a loss as to what we're doing.
Chris?
Yeah, I guess this concern that Bill brought up and that Chris is speaking to is, goes back to what Dale's saying is that why is this an emergency meeting? Why could this information been handled at the next meeting, regularly scheduled for 17th? In terms of some of the statute, you mentioned that the statute only allows for 2 days, yet our ordinance requires 6 days. So doesn't the ordinance supersede the statute? I have a hard time understanding why you bring up the statute as it having any relevance in this discussion.
Oh, it absolutely has relevance. So it's the state law. You guys have an ordinance that says 6 days unless an emergency. The emergency is in the discretion of the council. The council called the meeting, and so
The council did it or the president did?
The president called the
the
meeting.
president is
So
in
the
charge
council
of
did
the
not call the meeting?
And if we go back to state statute, that's within the discretion of, that is the job of the president to call the meetings and set the agenda.
Okay, so what advise and consent role does the rest of the council have? In any matter, for that matter. For example, at the last meeting last week, Bill appointed himself to the redevelopment commission. Or maybe it was on the week prior, but he was at that meeting as himself being at the RCC. Also, he essentially asked, or said that Mr. Rogers would be stepping down from the planning commission. And, yeah, I mean, it's all there, it's all what you said, Bill. As you said, he needs to sit down, and so you could be on the planning commission. And then, when the lawyer said, well, Bill, we have to give him 30 days written notice, then you said, well, I wasn't given 30-day notice when I stepped down from the planning commission in April. So therefore, since I didn't properly notify myself, then therefore I'm still on the planning commission. That's all public record.
Yeah, and I was corrected, so
Okay?
thanks.
All right. So.
And I didn't try to put myself on the plan commission, but go ahead, I don't want to interrupt you.
Well, here's the issue, Bill. It's like, you're on the RDC, you're on the planning commission, and you're the president of the town council. I guess I would like the council to consider some advise and consent role for appointments, certain key appointments, such as the planning commission, RDC, etc. Similar to how the president, when he appoints certain, not all appointments, but certain cabinet members, etc., there's an advise and consent role of the Senate. So there's a balance of power. So I'd like the council to consider that if we're going to rethink some of our ordinances, I think that's something that would be worthy of the council to consider. Obviously not all appointments, because there are a lot of appointments that are being made. But it's just not a good look, Bill, that you're on the RDC, you're on the planning commission, and...
He's not on the
Bill's not on the
planning,
planning
he's not on the
commission.
planning commission.
But go ahead.
Wait, I thought I thought he was gonna step down and Bill's gonna be on.
I don't know what in the world you're thinking.
That's what you said, Bill.
No, not
I
tonight.
don't know what
Okay, Clint,
planet
let's
you're
hear that
from,
then.
but right now, the 7 members of the Plan Commission, I don't know when you stepped into the meeting, maybe you missed it. The 3 elected positions, elected, appointed, or employee positions are Angie Farno, Brandy Baston, and Yvonne Jonas. The 4 citizen category members of the Plan Commission are Ron Wally, Nancy Owens, Raven Smathers, and Eric Kropp, and there is an alternate, which is Mike Jackson.
Okay.
And then the council alternate is Clint.
Oh, and I'm so sorry, and the count,
So,
thank you very
so
much.
you guys you had some discussion between last meeting and this meeting, and
No.
No.
Council
No.
members.
No, we didn't. But go with your conspiracy theory, because you're on a roll.
Time out.
You're wrong.
Time
No,
out.
Bill, that's
Hey.
exactly what you said last meeting.
Point of order. Bill, we do not attack, we don't attack constituents in a meeting.
When they attack me, I'll respond when I want to. You can respond whenever you want to.
I don't attack constituents back.
But, Mr. Wagner wouldn't, decorum, and he just kept going. If we'd had an officer here this evening, I'd have had him removed. And I absolutely would have.
Okay,
Okay, so let me try to wrap this up. So, Quinn or Angie, is that not what Bill said last Wednesday?
at the last Wednesday meeting, he said that he was putting himself on the planning commission, but we did not go through and carry that through, so he was on the planning commission. We had the meeting today where he suggested Yvonne Jonas. That passed 3 yays, 2 nays, as Yvonne being put onto the planning commission.
Okay.
So he was not on the planning commission. Yvonne was put onto the planning commission.
Okay. Well, that was my main concern.
Okay.
So, thank you for clearing that up, Angie.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
I just want
No,
to comment.
well, hell, go ahead.
No, your bias and animosity towards people that are opposed to your viewpoints, it's just palpable. It's just unbelievable.
Really.
So unprofessional, yeah. And
Okay.
I stood up, all I did was ask a question, and you treated me like a piece of shit, so, I just wonder where your bias is coming from on this whole project. It's just unbelievable.
I'll tell you the same thing that I've said at every meeting when either my ethics, my bias, or anything else is questioned. I sit in this chair and I make a vote based on what I think is best for the town, period. Not one penny, not one incentive. It's been implied that all kinds of unethical or illegal things are occurring. If you've got proof of that, don't talk to me. Talk to the
I
prosecutor.
never said that.
Well, a lot of
I stood
people
up and asked
have.
a question, is
Yeah,
what I did.
so that's fine.
Okay, I have a comment because because he said that he was being falsely accused of ethical things. So I'm going to go ahead and
You
just.
want to wait till we get the council comments?
No,
and you can
because you
say
went ahead
whatever
and
you
made
want?
that comment and you point it towards me, so I'm going to go ahead and comment on that because I am so tired of you making false accusations at fellow council members. So in regards to when you were questioned about ethical things, I was referring to the meeting that we had on March the 2nd when we were on the planning meeting board and you were still on the planning commission meeting board. You had the CFO from Tharp Investments who got up and was explaining why he wanted to have a residential area over by Needler's changed from residential to a business. And then after it was changed to a business, we split those into 2 lots. So it wasn't just 1 residential lot, it was now 2 business lots. And then we took commercial lots that were already there and we split that into additional lots. The gentleman from Tharp wasn't doing very well explaining it, and from your planning commission seat, you took over the explanation as to what Tharp Investments was wanting to do on that particular corner. And then making sure that the planning commission understood what was going on. And then you pushed it through of what they were asking for, and when it was called for a vote, you abstained. The issue with that being, you are employed by Tharp Investment. By splitting that residential into 2 commercial and then abstaining at the end was not something that you should have done from a planning seating seat.
Were you on the plan commission at that meeting?
I was on the planning commission at that meeting.
Did you say anything at that time?
And I was not aware of the bigger picture until now. I did vote, and I voted in favor of splitting those properties up, but that was before I saw the rest of the bigger picture when the RDC stepped in. And that I failed in the town, and I apologize. If I would have seen that, it probably would have been a different vote.
Okay.
But it was something that probably shouldn't have been pushed through, and probably something that shouldn't have been explained by that person who is the lead counsel for that particular investment group doing from a planning seating meet.
Okay. Next item on the agenda are public comments. Chris, you have any public comments you'd like to make?
No.
Clint, do you have any public comments you'd like to make?
Hey.
Council comment?
Council comments. Sure. Well, yep.
I'm out here to fight. On this tip thing, where do we stand in the steps that this goes to, so you get the final vote, yes or no on that?
You'd have to ask the bond counsel, who is, I don't know all the different steps. There's a lot of steps.
So we're not close to the final vote on it. That's all I want to know.
Okay, thank you. Clint, do you have any council comments you'd like to make?
Yeah, I've got one, and we might need to vote on it. I would like to check the party affiliation of all the planning commission members, and if there's more than 2 from one party, I want them replaced, and I want verification through either primary voting records or a personal affidavit. And I don't want to have any more meetings until that's done.
See, here's the problem with that, Clint.
No, there's no problem with that.
There is a
It's in
problem.
the state law, just like it is that you appoint for.
You have an impossibility. You haven't
No,
had
you don't
a
have any
Demo-
possibility.
Clint, how many Democrats have applied?
I don't know.
Are you gonna go
I've
door
never
to
asked.
door?
I'm not, no, it's not my job.
It's not mine either.
Well, then we can't have any more meetings.
We can only appoint from the pool of applicants. That I'm aware of, we have never had a Democrat apply, and if they did apply, they'd be given due consideration.
Where does it say that we can only appoint from the pool of applicants? It says that nobody, you can only have 2 from one party.
Okay. Anything else, Clint?
No.
Okay. I don't have anything to add. Brandon?
But
you have anything to
I'd
add?
like to make a motion that we don't have any more planning commission meetings until that's all done.
Can I ask a question on that, just of our legal counsel? Doug, I mean, I guess it's a point in being in compliance with statute with other things. In the past, I've understood because no one's come forward and indicated interest in finding folks, in the past. How does one go about doing that in a fair and equitable manner, I guess?
Yeah, so I'd have to look at case law on that. I wasn't aware that that'd be an issue tonight. I know, practically speaking, from my experience in state government and local government, that it's very loose, and that there is no prescribed way to define party affiliation. There may be some indications in case law, so I'm happy to look that up and report back to the council.
Because I know when there's been, for example, a special election, for instance, last summer, there were 4 Republicans who filed for 3 seats. And there was a special election, and the merit based on if you could vote or not was based on your primary voting record in the previous, or you signing an affidavit, if that was not stated, that you sign an affidavit that you are a Republican and you plan to vote Republican in the next general election. And so I know that can be.
I think that's under election statutes.
Right, no, I know, but I'm just saying in discovering truly how someone's party affiliation is, I mean,
We can't bind them to a vote.
Right.
And again, anecdotally, I know that there are governor-appointed positions where they needed X party, and the person said, well, yeah, that's what I am. And it's not what they voted, or not active in parties. But it's very loose. And again, I'll look at case law and see if there's anything that can help guide us in that decision. But I don't know if there's going to be much there.
Well, I'd like to tighten that up before we have any more planning commission meetings.
Yeah. I respect the oversight there, but that is the executive's appointment.
Well, is it his job to find out if there's more than one of the single party? Whose job is that?
I know it's my job to appoint from a pool of anybody that applies, and a Democrat has never applied. So I'm sorry, I can't appoint somebody who didn't apply. I don't know what,
How do they know how to apply?
what impossibility. Anybody express interest, that's how you apply. Let us know. I mean, there was a time we were begging to get people to be involved.
If you know of anybody, send them my email. I'll make sure that it goes where it needs to go.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to check party affiliation of the 4 he appointed, and I want to see what party they are. And if they don't meet that requirement, I don't want to have any more meetings until we get a board that does.
Okay, well, don't show up at a meeting then. Brandy, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Oh, wait a minute, I got something else too. When I got my notice of where to look for these meetings, it was through the Daily Reporter. Who authorized the Daily Reporter to have our security footage? Because I don't ever remember that coming up at a town council meeting. Who authorized the Daily Reporter to have our security footage off of that camera?
It's on YouTube.
Huh?
It's on YouTube.
No, it's on the Daily Reporter website. So I want to know who authorized that.
Clint, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, here, just look at this right here and I'll tell you what I'm talking about.
Okay?
While you're looking really quick, there's an email exchange that I have with Christy Deer. and it was in regards to one of our meetings back at the 1st of June. I told her why I had changed my vote to keep the conversations open with the Bekovich group, that we weren't approving the $5 million tip. I think Dale remembers this because we had an exchange, that we weren't approving the $5 million tip, but we were willing to keep negotiations open and to keep talking. And then she made a comment to me in my email saying that when Dale stood up and said something, that they were giving him a thumbs up. And she said she got that when she was listening to the audio. And I asked her in my email, how did you see a thumbs up in the audio? And then I said, where are you watching this at? She said, from the same place I listened to the audio that they are linked to. I said, if you look at the she said, look at the video of the last meeting and you see Dale's friends turn around and give the new guy who came in clueless about the project a thumbs up after he talked. And so I said, where did you get the video from? Then she replied back, she was heading out the door to a nephew's graduation. She'll send me the link when she gets home. And then I sent her another ask about asking where she got the link. She said, for some reason, it won't let me copy and paste the link. I think it's because it's Scott Wells' link, the IT guy for town. It's the same link you asked him to set up when you first went on council. You've probably forgotten about it. I didn't say anything about the security camera. So I didn't even know about it until Chrissy Dare told me about Dale and his friends and the thumbs up, and she said audio, and I know you don't see a thumbs up in an audio. And that's how I found out where the security cameras were being used for the council
And
videos.
Clint, do you have something?
I have
again,
some in this
I'm not-
email someplace, but I
I
don't
mean,
know exactly
Sounds
where.
like a question that you might want to ask Christy Deer. I don't know.
It doesn't sound like a question I need to ask Chrissy Deer. It sounds like a question that I need to ask at town hall. And when it was approved for us to use security camera from town hall as the video for the meetings.
Angie, that video right, that camera up there was asked from you. You wanted our meetings videotaped.
I didn't say by the security camera. I said I wanted our meetings videotaped.
That camera right there, Scott, is that the video that, is that the camera that we use?
Yes.
That's the camera we use. What
But
is
I did not
considered-
say use the security footage video for the council meetings. I said I wanted the council meetings videoed.
So, Jim, do you know, is that footage then put on YouTube or the
That
town's
goes to-
website?
That
Or
goes to YouTube, yes.
After, after we talked and there was video footage that was being on that one and that was being recorded and sent to the Greenfield Daily Reporter so she could watch the videos. I asked Scott to send a link to put it on YouTube since Christy Deer is watching the videos.
So that
It should have been
anybody else
available
could.
to the public.
Sure.
So I made sure that it got put onto a website. So if you want to go listen to the audios of all the meetings, you can do that.
Okay, and watch the video.
And watch the videos, except
Okay.
for the RDC meetings and the planning commission, I think are audios. I think town council's the only video.
Okay, Clint,
And
does that answer the question? I guess somehow footage from that camera ends up on YouTube.
I had no idea our security camera was being used until the minutes or the video or whatever was shared.
So
and-
Christy Deer's
and so
getting it
I'm-
off YouTube?
No, we have a link that I think they set up that goes, all of the audio goes straight over to the Greenfield Daily Reporter.
Who authorized any of that stuff? That's my question.
Are we required to provide that to the press, public meetings?
No, she can show up if she wants to, though.
You're not required to provide it. I guess I would, the question is valid. If you guys want to know who authorized it, then you're certainly entitled to do that. I would just note that the council is the legislative body, and under separation of powers, the executive branch has the authority to do what's necessary or in their season and best fit. So, not that it's been implied, but whoever on the executive side decided to do that had the authority to do that. Of course, the council has the authority to set policy, and if you pass an ordinance that says you can't, then they can't, but they don't need to come and ask you if they can exercise their executive authority.
Well, wait a minute, we have an ordinance that says Bill is the caretaker of all the security camera footage. And to access it, we have to go through him. We have an ordinance on that someplace.
Well, so Clint, let me make it very clear for the
Okay.
record. I have never accessed it, I've never seen it, I've never shared it, I've never authorized it. So if this is another roundabout, let's gang up on Bill, I can tell you with 100% certainty, I don't even know what you're talking about. I didn't authorize it, I didn't do it. But no, you just said, I'm the keeper of the video.
Christy Deer has the videos, and that's security footage from the town, which Bob's supposed to be the only caretaker of, that has to
Oh,
be.
I'm sorry, I thought you said
He
I was.
misspoke,
and he
said
I'm
Bill,
sorry,
he meant
Clint.
Bob.
That's
He
all
meant
right.
Bob.
I'm so sorry, because you did say Bill.
Okay, yeah, Bob's supposed to be the
Okay.
caretaker of, and it takes something to get it out of him.
Because believe me, I'm not sharing video
And I didn't know
footage with
anything
nobody.
about it until it was sent to me in an email, and it said the Daily Reporter on it. And I can't find the email, but
Okay. Well, I guess that's a valid question if we know. I don't know.
Okay, so we brought it up, we discussed it, so are we wanting to change that process? Of giving direct access to video camera, security camera here at Town Hall?
I just want to make sure that there's not a security issue.
Right, absolutely. Like I said, I just recently found this out,
I mean, here's my thoughts.
literally.
If we are videotaping a public meeting, same as if we are tape recording a public meeting, I don't have it, me personally, I don't have any objection giving audio or a video to the press, to anybody that asks for it. I mean, we should be as transparent as possible.
Oh, that's not the question, Bill. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No,
No, by all means,
no,
that's
but
not
no,
the
I think
question.
you're asking now, what's our policy?
The direct link to a town hall security camera, I think, is the concern for a security
Hacking
issue.
abilities.
An outside entity is able to get into our security camera only during licensed posted meetings, and by all means, I'm not IT. Scott's the IT guy, so,
Nobody can get into your cameras.
Okay.
That camera was installed expressly for the purpose of recording meetings.
okay,
Okay.
Differentiating it from a security camera
okay.
versus a broadcast camera is kind of obtuse. If you asked me to bring you a new camera to broadcast with, I would take that one off the wall and put it wherever you wanted.
Okay.
Okay.
What is done is a feed from that camera.
Mhm.
So you can't hack into it, there's no,
No.
what, possible, okay.
I have a feed specifically from that camera, not from the rest of the security system, from that particular camera. Gets recorded
Okay.
and mixed with the audio.
so if I go to YouTube right now, I can watch this meeting right now?
Not right now,
Well, how about Christy Deer? Can she watch it right now?
no.
This one is live.
Oh, this is live?
Yes.
Awesome.
It's a
Even
test
better.
to see if it would work properly from the broadcaster.
So this is live on YouTube right now?
So
Is that what you're saying?
if we're looking for a policy, what do folks think? Do you want our meetings to be live or recorded and come get it later, or not available at all? I mean, what are people's thoughts? Me personally, I don't care if somebody's sitting in their living room, just like when we were in COVID, if somebody wants to log in and take the effort and see what's happening at a meeting, I think it should be perfectly fine.
Yeah, I don't either, as long as they have the same opportunity as everybody else.
Right, I mean, that's what I've
But
had
this is
people
a
in.
special opportunity.
I've had people in communities state that they'd like to be able to watch it live because of things going on and
Yeah.
didn't know that opportunity existed and look, we just found all this out in the last few days, I guess. So by all means, it needs to be accessible and available, and I'm fine if it's live, I'm fine if it's, why not?
Okay, so,
I would like to chime in for just a second.
Sure.
Sure.
I would prefer to do the live thing, because it saves me about an hour
Mhm.
of work of copying the file.
Mm-hmm,
From one place to another,
Mhm.
to post to YouTube.
absolutely.
If I can broadcast directly to YouTube,
Mm-hmm,
it's easier for me.
absolutely.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
should
Yeah,
we
I like
put that
that.
in the form of a motion?
sure.
Oh, now, wait a minute.
Yeah?
So, we're gonna broadcast live,
Mm-hmm.
and where can you get that at?
The broadcast will be available to anybody who wants to watch it on a YouTube channel controlled by me currently under an account that belongs to the town.
And we'll make sure that's advertised and promoted.
And that's
due
what will be
diligence.
available to the Daily
Yes. And the stuff that the Daily Reporter has same thing that we'll be using live going forward.
Yeah, I know, but it wasn't available to everybody else till
Right.
now.
Right.
I don't think anybody was aware of it.
And plus-
I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Live streaming's already a requirement of your electronic meetings ordinance.
Okay.
So I would go read that ordinance before you start making a bunch of decisions. Right now, if he's on a TV, people, the public should be able to live stream and watch this. It's not a requirement that they be able to communicate with you, but they have to be able to watch it.
Okay, so does anybody want to make a motion regarding live footage of meetings?
I'll make a motion.
I second.
All those, is there any discussion on the motion? Chris, are you in favor of live feed to meetings?
Of course,
All those in favor say aye.
yes,
Okay, motion carries 5-0, and we'll
you hear me?
broadcast our meetings live.
Yes.
yes.
Yes, thank you. I think, well, I've lost my position here. Brandy, did you have anything else you'd like to add?
Whew, I don't think so, other than Mr. Spivey, you had stood up to say something and then you kind of didn't, and so I just wanted to acknowledge, was there anything else that you were going to say or state, or did you kind of do that?
But, the thought I've had is Clint made the proposal or motion, and it just, nothing was ever resolved that I could see.
Died for a lack of a second.
Oh,
No second was asked.
yeah,
There was
No
no second
sec-
asked for.
No second was given.
One sec. Is that Robert's Rules of Order?
Angie, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
I'm lost on
I
what you're
don't know
talking
which,
about.
I don't either.
What was the,
Clint made a motion about the change in the ordinance, or until this.
what was that?
He said Bill had to make that, Clint couldn't make that motion.
Okay, so the attorney answered, I guess, and that's why it
Right.
didn't get the
What
second.
do you mean I couldn't make that motion?
That's what the attorney just said.
It has to be an
I never said you
executive.
couldn't make a motion, I said Bill made the appointments of the citizens.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Angie, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I have a couple things I'd like, well, I have a question for the attorney, and then I have something I want to add. First, I want to say, I don't like the fact that I'm not getting information about meetings. That there was an agenda for the meeting tonight. I never got the agenda. I didn't even know there was agenda, and then we're sitting here, you're going by an agenda that I know nothing about. That's an issue.
I don't have one.
All council members should have all the information across the board, and I don't know what lack of communication is happening between town hall and council, but it's not getting shared, and not getting shared in a timely manner for the rest of us to plan accordingly, because we all have jobs and wasn't aware that all this was going on tonight.
Yvonne, did you have something you wanted to
I
add?
apologize, I will take on that fault for not having it done on time. We struggle to get all the information out as fast as we can for what we know to do. I thought this was a special meeting that only talked about the one issue for the planning commission. I did not realize that we needed a agenda for that.
And
We've
I wasn't sure, so I just did it. Just
We've
I was under
struggled
the
with-
same assumption that this was a special meeting. I wasn't aware that there was like a whole agenda planned out for it. I just,
And
So,
I became aware that there was an agenda when Susie handed it out.
and that's because we didn't, I mean, we just didn't know that there needed to be one. And and when we left for dinner, she texted me, she said, well, should there have been an agenda? Did we do it wrong? And she's like, well, while we're in the executive meeting, I'll make a quick agenda that states what we know and go with it. So we did the best we can, and I am sorry if I did that wrong.
oh, no, I didn't get the agenda, and I didn't understand why we were
Well,
going by
that
the
is
agenda for a
because it
special
literally
meeting.
was made while we were in the conference, right?
And when it was put down here, you know, running the meeting, it's a good roadmap, so I followed the agenda. And that's why I moved to table items that were on here. That
So-
had I seen the agenda in advance, I would have said, take off department reports. You know, take off claims. Don't put minutes on it. But I didn't have that,
So
but
we all
that's okay.
tried, we do our best, and sometimes we make a mistake. So that is my responsibility as the clerk treasurer. I take responsibility for doing that wrong.
That's okay, I just didn't know why we were going by an agenda for a special meeting, so I just want a
I
clarification
will
on
look
that.
into exactly what is required for a special meeting, hopefully.
And then my other question is for Doug, because I'm not familiar with the laws and public access. So was told that as a public official, my town email, unless it's an email between you and I, with attorney to attorney, the privilege, the rest of the emails that I have that are especially through the town can be requested by the public for viewing. Is that accurate?
It's semi-accurate, so you mentioned one of the exceptions, which is conversations with legal counsel. There are other exceptions. You don't have the exhaustive list in front of me, but certainly can provide that to you. It's in 5, I can pull out the statute and provide it to you, but there are exceptions. So certain things have to be disclosed. There's discretionary items, and then there are things that cannot be disclosed. So, for instance, you had an executive session on HR issues. Even if it wasn't with me, if it described confidential information, you wouldn't have to disclose that, or you could redact that information. So there are additional exceptions to the legal exception.
So if somebody's requesting like something that's in an email and they want something from mine, so do I send that through the town attorney so they can redact anything that probably shouldn't be, that isn't public knowledge, that they shouldn't know before it goes out to somebody who's done a document request or a request?
Somebody should certainly be looking at that. There's a requirement, if there's a public records request, and Yvonne has asked me this, and we've tried, so if there's a request, you have to respond to the request, just acknowledging that you received it, and you have a reasonable amount of time to respond and actually provide the information.
Okay.
So there's statutory requirements of when that initial recognition is required, depending on whether or not they ask for it in person or via mail or email. So you have to comply with that acknowledgement, and then you have to look and see whether or not it's disclosable or not. So if you release confidential information, you can be liable for releasing confidential information as well. So somebody should be reviewing that, making sure that what goes out should go out, and that everything that should go out goes out.
So any records request that's asked, especially of that nature, will have to go through our attorneys before it actually they can provide that information, correct?
I don't know if that's within the scope of our engagement, but it should certainly be looked at, and if that's something that the town council wants us to do, we can discuss that as well.
Okay. Okay.
If I can chime in for just a moment.
Yeah.
I apologize. As of right now, every individual town employee and council member has full control of their email. There's nothing being retained for records keeping purposes.
Okay.
If that is a specific concern that the council or legal representative has, then we should also look at considering journaling all the town's email.
Do we have to do that?
Yeah, so there are specific records retention requirements for cities and towns. So we'll have to go through that list, and there are certain documents that, in that records retention schedule tells you how long you have to keep each document.
Okay.
And emails could fall into different categories depending on what they are.
I had no clue about that, did you?
Which makes it rather difficult, and I know a lot of entities I've worked with before end up keeping probably more than they need to, just as a safeguard.
So we all become porters?
It's very expensive.
Okay.
I think, like I say, to have a journaling system, for the town the size it is probably gonna be $1,500 a year, and that's cumulative. So $1,500 a year for every year, and then every prior year that you have to maintain that. It can be very expensive.
So if something's subpoenaed and it's been deleted, what happens? Are we in trouble? Because we didn't keep it?
There's a whole process for that. It depends how much culpability there is.
Okay.
I won't go through the exhaustive list of possibilities.
Okay. That's all I had.
Can I recant my I don't have anything real quick? Just because it inspired a reminder to me. So Doug, and for our commissions, this is more to do with this. just in the big picture. So I'm going to just speak to what commission I'm on. So I was elected back to the Planning Commission a month ago. And this doesn't have to do with any issue, okay? This just has to do with being on this commission. I came to that commission meeting without any information about what was going on at that commission meeting. And so I can only imagine, I've been on council for 5 years and I don't pretend to know everything about anything, okay? And I can't imagine being a citizen council, citizen commission member who only comes 2 or 3 times a year, and before them has put this massive zoning, or does it meet our comprehensive plan, or whatever it is, and you say RDC or you say EDC or whatever commission it is, and everyone's expected to make a decision within legal boundaries and understanding and compliance in a matter of sometimes 10 to 15 to 20 minutes. And so that has got to change for us as a town moving forward. And it's not a criticism of anyone. Really, it's just we can't sit down for a commission meeting, again, whether RDC, EDC, planning, and not have information to review beforehand and expect people to make the responsible decision. As a council member, we get the agenda and the attachments and the proposed resolutions, and we are very, very selective about adding anything new ever to the agenda for the purpose of, or at least I am, I'm not going to speak for everybody else, that's my mantra, because I haven't had proper time to review it. So if that long speech comes, we really, really, really need to change that moving forward with our commissions. And so for the planning commission meeting next week, or in the future, RDC or whatever, we've got to have materials ahead of time so people can make an educated decision and ensure they're in compliance with legal boundaries. That's my spiel.
No, that's a good
I
point.
mentioned, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned something similar to Yvonne when we spoke
Mhm.
earlier this week, that in other units that we represent,
Mhm.
there's pre-meetings or pre-agenda meetings,
Mhm.
so that depending on which board or if it's a
Mhm.
council meeting, select group of people would have a pre-meeting. Wouldn't constitute a meeting, a public meeting. It'd be maybe somebody from the council, probably Jim and Yvonne and Ted or myself,
Okay.
and just going through at least a week in advance to make sure that we have, we all know what's on the agenda, so that I don't like coming in and not knowing what questions are going to be asked either, because the planning commission statute itself has over 1,500 different sections to it.
Oh, yeah.
And I already told you there's 3 different types of planning commissions within that, and so,
Mhm.
and we represent all of them. So
Right.
knowing what the town is
Right.
off the top of my head, I'm not ever going to know that. I know where to look, and if I have advance notice, I'll have an answer for you guys. But having a pre-meeting, at least a week in advance, to go over the agenda, make sure everything is checked off, and we have that time to get all our ducks in a row. And I mean, I think that's what Dale serves his purpose, wanting to make sure everything's in order. And if we had a pre-meeting, he may still find a couple things, but I think we get 90% there, 95% there, and just making sure that we're going to be more methodical about the whole process. I understand there's limited budgets and time for everybody, but the closer we can get to that process, I think the better it'll be.
And since the president of each commission is technically in charge of that commission group, whatnot, I'm not clear what he, or if he got anything beforehand, but if so, and this is not a criticism at all, it wasn't shared. And so, is there validity, and with that group should include that committee president or commission president?
Well, if it's for that meeting, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all
I mean,
right,
If you're doing a pre-meeting for the planning commission, it should probably be the president.
okay,
Jim again, because
Okay.
he's the
right,
the planning commission, he's the zoning coordinator, so
okay,
he gets all the applications, should be a
Okay.
part of that.
right.
And then legal counsel.
So folks are clear on what they're considering or voting on, so we don't have,
It would certainly help us out too, because we really
Undesirable
struggle to get the information to you
situations.
if we
Right.
don't get it until the last minute.
Right,
I mean, the day before the meetings, it takes all that Susie and Jenny
Right.
and I can do to get all the information to you. Sometimes it comes in huge, voluminous downloads that we can't even send on to you. We've got to print it, and then we've got to split it in two in order to make 2 PDFs to send it to you. So it takes a lot of time on our part,
Absolutely.
and having these pre-meetings certainly would smooth that process out.
Okay.
That does require that those people that we use as our, financial advisors and legal advisors and whomever is coming to the requester for whatever, a BZA meeting or plan, that everybody gets that information to us a week beforehand, and that we can't speed things through as fast as,
Right.
we've been trying to do, but it sure make life a lot less hectic around here.
And it's only fair to the folks that are serving.
Absolutely. I also would like to add to that I would like to see that we do some training for all the people that are on the
Absolutely.
commissions, because how is the planning commission member that comes, is at home all the time and just comes to their meetings?
Right.
How are they supposed to know what specifically they are to look for in a planning commission meeting or the RDC? We got the RDC pretty well trained now, because I recognize that was a real issue, but I would like to see that we do that for every commission, so that people properly understand what it is that's asked of them.
Right, because he just said 1,500 pages?
Over
Yeah.
1,500 sections.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mind blown. So
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if we're giving something that is like the day of the meeting or not even 24 hours in advance and they're expecting a vote on it, and can we say we need to table it for extra time? Because there's no way after coming off a 12-hour shift that I can read through a 30-page document of something I'm not familiar with, and I'm going to be Googling information on that.
And
How does
nobody
that work?
can.
Yeah.
Robert's resort, of course you can
Right.
table it. If you have the votes, then.
Okay.
I would like to go back to the motion I had to discontinue all the planning commission meetings until we assess the appointees that they're only 2 of the same political party. Did you ask for a second on that, Bill?
I didn't hear a second.
Did you ask for a second?
I don't think I did, Clint.
Well, why don't you? Since that's your job.
I might have missed that one, Clint.
Okay. Well, in that case, isn't it pertinent for me to ask for a second?
I don't know. I mean, we had a plan commission meeting, and folks clearly pointed out that there should be a revote, and one of those didn't happen.
Well, let's
So-
try this one then.
Okay, what's your motion, Clint?
My motion is we discontinue all plan commission meetings till we verify the makeup of the plan commission that it meets state code.
Okay, and Clint, again, well, no, that's your motion. Is there a second?
I second it for discussion.
Okay, so now it's open for discussion. The problem with that is you're putting us into a situation of impracticality. If a Democrat hasn't applied, then a Democrat can't be appointed. So, and let me also share with you what my understanding of the statute is. The citizen members have terms. So, it's not possible today to legally say, well, we're going to remove these 2 because we don't like them to, and we're going to appoint 2 Democrats so that we have 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans. You can't do that. You can't legally do that. No matter how much you want to, you can't legally do that. And if the only thing that somebody can come up with to challenge a decision of the Plan Commission is because of that one political affiliation section that is an impossibility to fulfill, or has been historically, then fine, I'll take my chances in any court in the land with that argument. So what you're claiming, your motion is asking, is to paralyze the Plan Commission until we can somehow bully 2 Democrats to come out and get appointed. I mean, I can't appoint somebody who hasn't applied. So, I mean, it is absolutely an impossible situation. So then to say, until this impossible situation is satisfied, no further action can be taken, I don't think is a very reasonable position. That, again, that's just my opinion. I don't think that's a reasonable position to put the Plan Commission or anybody else in. And we're open for discussion. We have a motion and a second, but I would say that passing that motion would probably be not wise.
Bill, may I just
Please.
Please.
put a little legal background here? And this is in the statutes I gave you. I'll summarize. I'll try to be quick. The planning commission quorum and the minimum amount of people required to pass any action is 4. So you have 3 council appointees. We've got Angie, Brandy, and Yvonne, and possibly Clint steps in. So you're 3 of the 4 are right there. You also have 4 executive appointees. Statute says that more than 2 can be the same political party. So at most, we don't know, at most, we have 2 extra Republicans potentially, which would be disqualified. We don't know which ones would be disqualified. But even in that scenario, you still have 5 qualified members to vote, which is over the quorum, which is over the amount required to pass the requirement. Further, again, as I offered up to the council, I will look into the legal case law. I have a case up here. It looks to indicate the 2022 case out of Livingston that provision is not enforceable. I haven't been able to read the whole thing because we're in a meeting, but I will get back to the council and provide that feedback. I would suggest that you already have a properly constituted commission, because even if 2 were disqualified, you still have 5 voting members that are qualified.
Okay. And then for the future, I'm just going to put it out here again. You know, the perception in the past that there has never been interest communicated in serving based on political affiliation. I've never had anyone contact us and say their party is the reason they wish to be on a commission or whatever. And so with Clint, he has much merit in what he has said. And so perhaps what we can do moving forward is the reorganization is the first meeting of every year, that we can put out public notice on website, Facebook, whatever we use, the video link that he can run around the bottom of the TV, whatever, you know, is that we're reorganizing the first of the year. Here are commissions. If you as a citizen have interest in serving on any of the commissions, a brief summary of what they do, please indicate your interest to council president, because you are the executive that appoints those folks.
Yeah.
And so that when we reorganize, which officers are determined for council as well, at that point we have knowledge. And we say political affiliation will be whatever you rule legally, right? I just don't think we can go door to door, as you said, you know, with merit. But why not handle it that way and see what interest is? Therefore, there's no question. Just planning for the future.
And I agree, and we also have to be mindful of the terms.
Right.
So it's
Right.
not just the reorganization meeting is an opportunity for the elected positions to be reconsidered. But you can't reconsider the citizen members until their 4-year term expires.
Okay.
Or they resign, or they're disqualified.
There you go.
Right.
So
What's the 4-year terms?
that's by statute.
No, I mean, which commissions are 4 years?
The Plan Commission, I don't know about
The
other.
citizen members are elected on a 4-year term. So when the Plan Commission was established, they were supposed to stagger those. 2 would be initial term of 3 years, and 2 would be initial term of 4 years, so that you'd have 2 Plan Commission members up every couple of years. It wouldn't be 4 at a time, so that you'd never have a whole potential whole board turnover.
Okay.
And I went through and with the help of Jenny and Yvonne, pulled the minutes of appointments. The records aren't very clear of when people started. There are 2 that I can pretty firmly say when their term ends. Otherwise, they continue to serve until they're reappointed. Bill
Okay.
just reappointed them.
Okay.
But we'll have to kind of think through what those terms are.
Okay. Well, you can advise us legally on all of that. Okay.
So we have a motion that has been seconded. Is there any other discussion on the motion? Chris, are you in favor of the Plan Commission not meeting from this point forward until 2 Democrats are appointed?
No, that's not what the motion is.
That's not what the motion
No,
is.
I'm not in favor of that.
I'm sorry, Clint,
You
did I
didn't call for a
misstate
vote.
the motion?
Well, Clint
Clint made the
he
motion.
motioned, she seconded, but you haven't called for a vote yet.
No, I'm not, I want to make sure we understand what the vote is. What is the motion? Because when I just explained the motion, you said that wasn't the motion. So I want to know, Clint, did I misstate the motion?
I don't know, we'll have to look at the tape.
What's the motion?
I've already made the motion, it's been second, we need to vote on it if there's no other discussion.
Okay, well, the discussion is, Chris, as I understand it, the vote is to say that the Plan Commission, well, actually, I don't even think we need to call a vote on it because it's not something that we can legally do. We can't stop the Plan Commission from meeting because we don't like the citizen makeup. Can we, Doug?
It's until the issue's resolved, not that the citizen makeup is the way it is.
Well,
Okay, before we vote on this, I think Doug needs to do some fact finding for us and then educate us.
Well, we can vote on it tonight, because the motion's been made and seconded.
Right.
I don't know the answer to that question. My gut is that you cannot stop them from meeting. In the Bloomington case, what I briefly read, there was a lawsuit that was filed on the appointments, but I don't think there's an ability for council to stop the meetings. Again, I'll need to look at case law.
so Doug, let me ask, under Robert's Rules of Order, do I have to call for a vote?
It's been motioned and seconded, so yes.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion stating that the Plan Commission can't meet until 2 Democrats are appointed, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please indicate by saying nay. Nay,
Nay.
Nay.
Angie?
I need the information from Doug before I can do that. I'd prefer to have the information from me before I say yay or nay.
Okay. A motion fails 3 to 1 to 1. I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion on the motion?
Yeah, I got a discussion on that motion.
Okay.
I got a question for Doug. We had,
No,
the
the motion is to adjourn.
Wait a minute, and I got discussion on adjourning the meeting. I don't want to adjourn it.
Oh, okay.
When they had the RDC meeting the other day, they didn't ask for public comments. Now, that's not required at the meeting?
The RDC meeting
Yes,
on last week,
yes.
I guess, I don't have that information up. I looked at it at the time. There was a public meeting required for the Plan Commission. I believe we had a public meeting.
Did Chris leave
I
again?
can look at the notes.
I mean, I don't know if it does or
I think he
not,
thought it was
but all I
adjourned.
know is at the RDC meeting, they didn't ask for public comment or if there was anybody opposed to it that wanted to talk after their 15 lawyers talked.
At the time, it was because I asked a question, sorry to interrupt, but at the time, it was stated that it was a public meeting, not a public hearing.
So they didn't let you ask questions?
Actually, Steve did let me ask my question at the end of it after all the voting.
Yeah, I wasn't there, so I don't know.
And that was an exaggeration. There was only like 3 or 4 attorneys and representatives from the developer.
And those 3 or 4 attorneys do these type of deals all the time and are well versed on when public hearings are supposed to be held. So my, again, default would be that they were proper or not advising that there should be a public hearing. And there was one for the Plan Commission, which we did, I do recall we held.
Okay. All those in favor of adjourning, please indicate by saying aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you very much.